UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. I'm your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli, and this is unbelievable. Life 2 million years ago. Folks, it is happening. That's all I can tell you. It is happening, which is why on January 16th and the 17th, our Deception 2026 UFO conference. We already have, I think, close to 450 signups. I think we'll get at least 1,000, maybe 2,000 or 3,000. It's that important. It's coming. And it's actually already here. So we'll get into this, so much more. First, a word from our very trusted sponsor. As we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing we've all learned, it's that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan, it's a gamble. For over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans just like you protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Look, nobody knows what 2026 will bring. One thing is for sure. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital. It's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. When you're sitting around the table this holiday season, surrounded by family, remember, the best gift you can give isn't under the tree. It's peace of mind. And that's what Noble Gold delivers, peace of mind. 1 ounce at a time. Before the year ends, take one smart step toward a safer future. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Get your free wealth protection kit today. noblegoldinvestments.com. Don't leave the future to chance. Peggy and I have invested some of our money in Noble Gold, and I got to tell you, folks, we're really glad we did. However, as with any investment, there's always a risk. Please weigh the risks and carefully consider investing in Noble Gold. Once again, that's noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. We invested, and I'm really glad we did. Before I get into this, today's show, folks, Congress is talking about it. Are we looking at full disclosure at some point when President Donald Trump stands up in the halls of Congress or at the White House or whatever and announces to the world, we are not alone? This is the copy of National Geographic. Are we alone? It's everywhere. And there's a reason for this, because they're starting to roll it out. And in my opinion, I think we're looking at full disclosure, or at least are we going to see mile-wide craft? Maybe. That's always a possibility. But if President Trump stands up and just states on the record, we are not alone, that's a game changer. It's a huge game changer. So in the midst of all this, and I want to thank Ancient Bloodlines on YouTube. You need to go check out their channel. Obviously, I'm not going to run an hour and 10 minutes, but I'm going to give you an idea of what's being promulgated out there. So here we go. Let's just run them a little bit of it. So here we have the UFO. And now we have, notice a couple of things here. Notice the elongated skull, right? And notice, where is it? The elongated skull behind me right there. So, I mean, why is it like this? Of course, the thing has 5 fingers. And again, this is all AI simulated. It's great, but what do they say? What do they say? Well, let's roll a little bit more, and then I'm going to skip through it. So here we have Earth, or what appears to be Earth, and here we have an alien ship coming down and in Africa. And what happens next? So there's the ship, and it lands. It's really, really great stuff from AI. Thank you, guys. Here they come. So it's sort of a reptilian, as you can see. Look at the muscular torso. And I'm going to skip a little bit here so I can get down to the part where I want to get to. So we brought the alien helping the chimp with some sort of a solution. And the chimp now goes to sleep. And he's got an idea. He's going to make man out of the monkey. Just say it. This is, and folks, if you don't think this is the worldview of your kids and your grandkids, think again. They're being indoctrinated. And this is why we're doing our Deception 2026 conference. This is why I'm talking about what we see here. So now we've got the deoxyribonucleic acid, the DNA molecular structure, and we're going to see some gene splicing. This is so deliberate. It's just, and it's really well done, but it's very, very deliberate, and it's promulgating what I would call the coming Great Deception. Let's continue just a little bit. So here we have, and now we've got the human. So let me back up just a little bit. All right. So there's the DNA. Next thing you know, the ape man rises up and walking next to the so-called aliens. Now primitive tool making. And I'm just going to skip over here because we don't have time to go through it. And I don't want to go all the way through it either. So I'm just going to stop it right there. And I think you've seen enough to understand what this is promulgating. And the danger of this is that it usurps biblical truth. In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. All things were created by him, or without him was not anything made that was made. Now that's the biblical prophetic narrative that we read about in John. In the beginning was the Word was with God. The Word is Jesus, all right? Jesus speaks everything into existence. He holds everything together. And what we see here is the ancient astronaut theorist, the idea that we were seeded here by an advanced race of extraterrestrials, who, by the way, look very reptilian and have elongated skulls. I'm making this stuff up. And the problem with this is that it completely contradicts what we read about in the biblical narrative. And again, I'll say it again, that your kids and your grandkids are being indoctrinated into this paradigm. This is why we push back with our films, with the book Rungs of Disclosure. We've got 10 films. And I realize, that's like a big, long infomercial. Well, you think what you want, but that's why we've got 10 films. That's why I wrote Rungs of Disclosure. That's why we're doing the conference, because the church is completely, for the most part, oblivious to any of this, and they won't even address it. Meanwhile, in the halls of Congress, they are addressing it. Whistleblowers come forth. Whistleblowers stand up and state on the record that they had encounters with craft, that the craft are not from this world, not from this earth. I'm quoting, of course, Commander David Fravor. So, circling back into this, and let me just see how many views it has. Hold on, guys. All right, it's already got 739,000 views 10 days ago. To give you an idea, our average viewing here on YouTube is, I'm just going to be sort of conservative, about 15,000 a day. So it's all over the map. Sometimes it's lower. Sometimes we'll hit 30, 40, 50,000 views, sometimes even more. So here's a Why Humans Evolve Faster, ancient bloodline, and bully for these guys. They only have 31,000 subscribers. We're closing on 264,000 subscribers. And hats off to these guys for making, this video, which is available, by the way, for free. Ancient Bloodline, you can see it for yourself. There it is right on the screen. But, the bottom line, guys, is that this is happening. This is what's being promulgated, that we were seeded here, genetically manipulated by an advanced race of extraterrestrials. How many times do we have to hear this before the church begins to wake up and push back? For the most part, and the church doesn't say a word about it. The Vatican, and I did a report on this a couple of weeks back, the Vatican, has stated on the record that, maybe we're not alone. And this is what we're hearing. Well, if there's life out there and they come in, then we're going to baptize them. That was in our Watchers series. And the late Chris Putman discussed that. So all I can tell you is this, that the deception is all around us. And this concept that we were seeded here by an advanced race of extraterrestrials, i.e. panspermia, has been around for quite some time. But it's gaining strength, It's gaining momentum. It's becoming the accepted paradigm. So the fact that your government is discussing this should wake you up. It really should. And this is why we're doing our conference on the 16th and 17th. And this is not an infomercial for that. But the reason why we're doing the conference, we have 10 speakers that'll be speaking. I'll just give you a sample. Derek Gilbert, Gary Stearman, Mando Gonzalez, Karen Wilkinson, former abductee, Al Matthews, former abductee, Vicki Joy Emerson, author, Larry Rangland. I can't wait to see Larry's presentation. So, we've got a lot of people, and I've left a few people out. Tim Alberino. But it's going to be a great conference. It's a virtual conference. Go to www.deception2026. There it is, right there on your screen. So once again, you've got National Geographic. Are we alone? Why are they asking that question? Why? Why is it that age of disclosure in the very beginning of the film? And I talked about this when I did my report on age of disclosure, the film. They have ex-military, ex-congressmen and women, scientists, physicists coming on the record. And it's just like, bam, bam, very staccato-like, from person to person to person. We are not alone. We are not alone in the universe. We are not alone. We are not alone. I mean, right down the line like this. What does that do to you? If we're not alone, then what are we looking at? And then when you see things like this, clips like this, granted it's made by AI, that we were genetically manipulated by aliens. There you go. When they show up, and they will show up at some point, they will say this: we genetically manipulated all life on this planet, just like this AI created film shows. We genetically manipulated early man. We started the world's civilizations. We started the world's religions. Now at this critical juncture, we are about to usher mankind into a golden age. I'm not making it up. It's here. It's now. It's in your face. Time to stand up and understand that this is in direct contradiction to what we as Christians believe. This, if our president, or let me back up. If they show up, that's a game changer. But if our president stands up and says, we are not alone, right? We are not alone. How will that change the dialogue? How will it change your faith? Will it challenge it? Well, of course it will. Of course it will. And especially to those people that really have no personal relationship with Jesus. See where I'm going with this, folks? We are here. I've been banging this drum for decades. It's here. It's now. Time to wake up. Once again, www.deception2026 is a virtual conference. January 16th and 17th. Thank you ahead of time for signing up. More reports. And, this is it. It's coming down, which is why we're trying to get ahead of it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back again with yet another. And by the way, don't wait for YouTube to send you a notice. We're here every day. Every single day, there's a new show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon. Folks, L.A. Marzulli here. What happens if our President Donald J. Trump makes an announcement from the White House? He looks right at the camera and he says, we are not alone in the universe. How does that affect you? How does that affect your faith? How does that affect what you believe in? Folks, we have the answers that will shed light on this controversial subject. The Great UFO Deception Conference, Unmasking the Strong Delusion, January 16th and 17th. You'll hear from renowned experts like Gary Stearman, Mando Gonzalez, Derek Gilbert, former abductee and author Karen Wilkinson, authors Alan DiDio, Vicki Joy Emerson, former abductee Al Matthews, Jim Alberino, Josh Peck, Larry Ragger, and of course, L.A. Marzulli. Arm yourself with the truth from a biblical perspective. Go to www.deception2026.com. That's www.deception2026.com. I'll see you there.